Hello there, my friends. Hey, this is Mr. Knoll bringing you some video notes for Lesson 16. These things are help to guide you through the lesson. I know parts of it are going to be pretty confusing, so use this as a guide to help you work through each and every one of these problems in Lesson 16. Eventually, page 167 and 168 will be your work for homework. If you don't get it done during class. So let's get started so we can get as much done as we can. If we take a look at number one, if you read the example, it's a $312.50 TV. The markup on the price is 25%. What equation can you use? They wrote us an equation. If we analyze their equation, here's the amount paid. Markup is an additional amount of money, so that is what's being shown by the addition and the 25% of the cost. That's why we're multiplying 25% times A. Number one, write an expression for the amount of money represented by each section of the diagram, the tape diagram. This diagram represents the total price with the 25% markup. So, if the total amount paid is $312.50, to find each section, we would take and divide $312.50 by the 5 sections, simply to split it up between. It comes out to equal $62.50. So each section represents $62.50. Number two, explain how to find the amount A that the store paid using arithmetic. The amount they paid are only these 4 blue sections. So if we know that one section is $62.50, we would just multiply the $62.50 by 4. And again, we're multiplying by 4 because the amount paid is represented by these 4 blue sections. Number 3, explain how to solve the equation $312.50 equal to A plus 0.25A to find the value of A. So we're not actually finding the value of A. We could if we wanted, and maybe we will. But the first thing we'd want to do if we had to explain is, first step, combine A plus 0.25A. Previous lesson we talked about like terms, same variable raised to the same power. Those can be combined together to equal 1.25A. After we combine like terms, we would then divide $312.50 by the 1.25. That would leave us our final value if we really wanted to find the value of A, or the amount the store paid, of $250. So the amount the store paid for the TV was $250. Okay, moving on to the second page. And again, this is a review over markups, markdowns, commissions, sales tax, things we've done in previous lessons. Number 4, Arlene sells computers and tablets. She earns 8% commission on every dollar of sales that she makes. In 1 month, she earned a total of $2,560 in commissions. Good for her. That's a lot of money. Write an equation for Arlene's sales, S in dollars that month, then find her sales. Okay, she makes 8% on every dollar, so 8% is represented by 0.08. She makes 8% of her sales. That word "of" represents multiplication, so I'm going to take the 8% and I'm going to multiply it by her sales. And what we were told is 8% of her sales gives us a total of $2,560. Solving that equation, isolating a variable using inverse operations, we would want to divide both sides by the 8%, or 0.08, and that tells us her sales equal $32,000. Arlene, you're a good saleswoman. Sorry. Number 5, a store advertises a sale as get 30% off your highest priced item when you buy 2 or more items. Lee buys items with prices of $30 and $20. Find the percent of discount on the total purchase. Explain your answer. Well, he gets 30% off of the highest price. So to find how much he is taking off, we're going to take the $30, because $30 is our highest price item, and multiply it by 30%, or 0.3. That comes out to equal 9. That means we're saving $9 on a purchase that would have been $50, because the $30 plus the $20. So we're saving $9 out of $50 to find percent. Percent is part out of whole comparison, which just means I'm going to take 9 and divide it by 50. 9 is my part, 50 is my whole amount. Again, that's what percent represents. It's a part to whole comparison. Comes out to equal 0.18, which equals 18%. Number 6, the owner of a sporting goods store buys pairs of rollerblades for $60, marks them up 25%. Several months later, he decides to clear his inventory and sell each pair of rollerblades at a discount of 20%. What is the total price of a pair of these rollerblades with the discount and a 6% sales tax? So, to calculate the cost of a markup, we're going to take the original price, which is $60, and I'm going to multiply it by 1.25. The 1.25 represents the price of the shoes or rollerblades and an additional 25%. Doing that, we get a selling price of $75. Okay? So he was selling them for $75. He then discounts them 20%. So I'm going to take the selling price of $75 and give them a discount of 20%, which means I'm paying 80% of the price. And $75 times the 80%, which represents a 20% discount, comes out to equal $60. We then need to add on a 6% sales tax on that $60. So I'm going to take the $60 rollerblades and multiply it by 1.06. And again, the 1.06 represents the price of the rollerblades and the 6% tax. And 6 times 1.06, punching it in your calculator, comes out to equal $63.60. Okay, now folks, what I would advise you to do, if I'm going too fast on this video, the video has a pause button. Pause it to help yourself catch up, to help yourself think about what I am trying to show you. So, looking at the next page, we're given a triangle with a perimeter of 20 inches. We're given expressions that represent the lengths of each side of those triangles. To find the perimeter, they wrote the expression, and we would know this expression by adding the 3 sides together. We then wrote an equation which shows the 3 sides added together, which is the 9/4 x plus 2, equal to the perimeter, which they tell us is 20. First off, number 1 in the example, explain how the term 9/4 x was obtained. Now, if we look at the expression, if I take and combine those terms, so x plus 1/4 x, same variable raised to the same power, I combine those terms, I get 2 1/4 x, and if we change that mixed number, 2 1/4, multiply the denominator times the whole number, and then add the numerator. 4 times 2, 8, plus 1 more, 9. So we would have 9/4 x. This is where they're getting this 9/4 in that equation, by combining like terms. Number 2, to find the value of x in the equation, you first get the term by x, or with x by itself on one side of the equation. That's where I use the term isolate the variable term. How can you do that? Well, to isolate the variable term, we need to get rid of that adding 2. Well, when we're working with an equation, we use inverse operations. So the inverse of adding 2 is subtract 2, and the key part here is from both sides. What equation do you then have? Well, if we subtract 2 from both sides, the equation we would then have is 9/4 x equal to 18. Number 3, how can you find the value of x in the equation you wrote for problem 2? What is the value of x? So the equation we wrote, 9/4 x equal to 18, we could do one of two things. You could divide both sides, because right now it's a multiplication equation. We could divide both sides by 9/4, or we could use the multiplicative inverse, because to divide fractions you actually multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to show multiply both sides by 4/9. And again, that's the multiplicative inverse, or the reciprocal of 9/4. What is the value of x? So if I multiply both sides by 4/9, the value of x comes out to equal 8. Okay, looking at number 4, it says find the length of each side of the triangle. Check that the perimeter is 20 inches. So once again, I'm still working. Once again, what we're going to do is use the value we just got for x and substitute that value of x into each one of those expressions to find the length of each side. So the expression x minus 4, if x is 8, that would be the expression 8 minus 4, and we know 8 minus 4 is 4 inches. So the side on the left, 4 inches. The next expression is x plus 1. Again, substituting 8 in there for x, it'd be 8 plus 1, which is 9 inches. And then the last expression, 1/4 x plus 5. We would take 1/4 times 8 and then add 5. 1/4 times 8 is 2. 2 plus 5 is 7 inches. So that triangle would have lengths of 4 inches, 9 inches, 7 inches. It says check to see that the perimeter is equal to 20. If we were to add those three values together, 4, 9, and 7, we get a perimeter of 20 inches. So our work is correct. Moving on to the next page, number 5. This is just really showing the work that we've been doing in class, solving equations. So it says solve this equation, complete each step of the solution, and check your solution. So what we have done in class is maybe draw a line straight down through that separates our equation into two equal expressions. Whatever I do to one side of the equation, I have to do the other. So to isolate the variable term, first thing we would do, if it shows that we are subtracting 1, we would show to add 1 to both sides. That would leave us with our next step to equal 2/5 x equal to 10. Then to solve that equation, to isolate the variable, okay, we either divide by 2/5 or we multiply by the multiplicative inverse or the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 5/2. If I multiply both sides by 5/2, we have a final value of 25. It then says to check your solution. So if we, and I'm going to use it over here, take 2/5 times 25 and subtract 1. See if that equals 9. 2/5 times 25 is 10. 10 minus 1 equals 9. 10 minus 1 equals 9. We created a true statement. Therefore, we know our answer is correct. Number 6, Paco said the solution is 4. Do you agree? Obviously, no. Now, if we try to analyze what Paco did, what I notice he did to get an answer of 4, okay, he did not multiply by the, and I'm just going to use the term reciprocal. Paco took 10 and multiplied it by 2/5. Paco should have taken 10 and multiplied it by the reciprocal of 2/5, which again is 5/2. Number 7, the width of a rectangle is 2/3 of the length. The perimeter of the rectangle is 15. What is the length of the rectangle? Draw a diagram. Okay? We know that the width is 2/3 of the length. So, whatever the length is, and they told us the length is L, so I'm going to put an L right there for the length and L right there for the length. We know the width is 2/3 of the length. So I'm going to put 2/3 L for the width, 2/3 L. What we know, the perimeter, or those 4 expressions added together, and I'm going to run out of room, but it'd be 2/3 L plus 2/3 L plus L. We know those 4 expressions. It tells us the perimeter is 15. We need to then solve that equation. Combine like terms. 2/3 plus L plus 2/3 plus L. If we combine those like terms, that gives us a total value of 1, 2, 3 and 1/3. 3 and 1/3 L equal to 15. And I got 3 and 1/3 by combining like terms. 2/3 plus 2/3 plus L plus L. Next step I would do is change that mixed number to an improper fraction. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 more is 10. So we'd have 10, and I'm going to change colors here, folks. We would have 10/3 L equal to 15. To solve that equation, I would then multiply both sides by the reciprocal of 10/3, and that would leave us L is equal to 45/10, or that L is equal, I'm going to simplify and say 4.5 centimeters, because 45/10 is equal to 4.5. So we could write that like so. Okay, looking at number 8, you buy 1 1/4 yards of fabric and an $8 clothing pattern. Your total cost with 6% sales tax added is $18.55. What is the cost per yard of the fabric? Okay, the first thing we need to find is the cost without the tax. So what I know is your total cost with a 6% sales tax. So the 1.06 times, and I'll just put a P for the price of the fabric, is equal to $18.55. Okay, again, that 1.06 represents the cost of the fabric and a 6% sales tax. Solving that equation, we would divide both sides by 1.06. Okay, which would leave the price of that fabric to equal $17.50. So before tax, price of the fabric was $17.50. What that would tell us, or what we know then, is the 1 1/4 yards of fabric. So let me change colors once again. 1 1/4 yards of fabric, and what we're trying to do is find the price per yard, and so I'll put an F there for fabric, plus the $8 clothing pattern is equal to $17.50. So we got the fabric plus the clothing pattern equal to our cost of $17.50. We then need to solve that two-step equation. I'm going to change 1 1/4 to an improper fraction of 5/4 plus 8 equal to 1750. Isolate the variable term by subtracting 8 from both sides. That leaves us with 5/4 F for fabric equal to the $9.50. And then to solve that equation with a fraction, you could either divide by 5/4 or once again multiply by the multiplicative inverse. So multiply both sides by 4/5. The cost per yard, or F, is equal to $7.60. Okay, moving on to the next page. Uh-oh, what happened there? We got a little technical difficulty. What's going on here? I'm going to pause, and I'll be right back at you. Okay, taking a look at page 165, we've got the example. Olga buys tickets to a concert. She pays $27.75 for each ticket, plus a handling fee of $5.50 for the order. Total cost is $144.25. How many tickets, N, did Olga buy? Number one, we can also see the equation that they wrote that we're going to be referencing as we go through these questions. Number one, what does the variable N represent? Okay, N in the question represents the number of tickets that she is purchasing. Okay, what does the expression $27.75 times N represent? The $27.75 times N represents the total cost of the tickets. Without the handling fee. Okay. Number three, how much did Olga pay for the tickets without the handling fee? Explain how you know. Okay. Without the handling fee, the total cost was $144.25. Okay, that was the total cost of the tickets and the handling fee. To just figure out the cost of the tickets, we would take the total cost and subtract the handling fee from it, which comes out to be a total of $138.75 for just the tickets. That's the tickets without the handling fee. Number four, if we were solving the equation, 27.75 times N plus $5.50 equal to $144.25. What can you do to get the 27.75 by itself? On one side of the equation, what is the result? Okay, to isolate the variable term, we would use the inverse of adding $5.50. So what would we do? We would subtract $5.50 from each side. Okay, it says what is the result? Well, if we subtract $5.50 from each side, the result would be $27.75 times N equal to 138.75. Number five, how can you solve the simplified equation you wrote in problem number, that should say 4. In problem 4, solve the equation. To solve the equation, how can we do it? Well, since the variable is being multiplied by 27.75, we would divide both sides by the 27.75. And it says solve the equation, so I would divide both sides by 27.75, and that tells me that N is equal to 5, meaning she bought 5 tickets. Okay. Uh-oh, it did this again. Look at that. We're going to move that over there, and I'm going to move that. Ooh, isn't that nice? Wonder why it did that. Anywho, all right. Taking a look at page 166. Going down through, number 6, solve that equation. Letter A, how can you get 1.5x by itself? So once again, we're isolating the variable term, which means I need to get rid of this 18 and 2/10, or 18.2. So do this first step. How can we do it? We need to subtract 18.2 from both sides. Do this first step to start to solve the equation, which means we would be left with, and I'm just going to write it over here, 1.5x equal to 19 and 5/10, or 19.5. Part B, how could you use the result from part A to find the value of x? Well, I find the variable. I have to isolate the variable by using inverse operations. So once again, the variable is being multiplied, which means I'm going to divide both sides by 1.5. The value of x, if I divide both sides by 1.5, x comes out to equal 13. Number 7, show your work, solve the equation. Find the variable term, isolate the variable term. To isolate the variable term, I'm going to add 3.82. Okay, that's an 8. And if I do it to one side, have to add 3.82 to the other side. That leaves me with my variable term on the left and a total value of 4.5 on the right when I combine like terms. Okay, and then using inverse operations to isolate the variable, I'm going to divide both sides by the coefficient of x. So I'm dividing both sides by 0.04. That leaves me my solution to be x to equal 112.5. Okay, to check my work, if you take your solution, substitute it back into the original expression or original equation. So 0.4 times 112.5 minus 3.82. We want to see, does that expression equal the 0.68? Okay, if we do the math, this value will come out. The value of that expression comes out to be 0.68. which creates a true statement. So therefore, our equation is solved correctly. Number 8, solving this equation. Okay, once again, variable term. Isolate by using inverse operations. So I'm going to subtract 8.5 from both sides. Okay, this is one we have to be careful of. Because when I look at my remaining value on the left-hand side, it is not 1.2x. It is a negative 1.2x, because in the original equation we were subtracting 1.2x, which is the same thing as adding a negative 1.2x. Value on the right is equal to a negative 1.8, or negative 1.8. Again, using inverse operations, I would then divide by the coefficient of x. So divide both sides by a negative 1.2. Your value of x comes out to equal 1.5. Okay. Take that value, substitute it back into that equation. Make sure our equation comes out to be true, to make sure we did correctly. Okay, you are now going to skip number 9. We do not need to do number 9. And and you are going to move on to the next page. These next two pages are going to be your classwork / homework that you're going to need to complete for tomorrow. Taking a look at each one of these. Number one, you're going to need to write an equation. It says Kia buys a shirt that costs $12.50 and some pairs of socks that are $2.50 each. She pays a total of $27.50. How many socks did she buy? You need to take a look at this situation. You need to write an equation and then solve that equation using inverse operations. Okay, for number two, you're just drawing lines to show the steps to solve that equation. Number three, please, would you please draw a triangle to represent this situation and then label the triangle to come up with your expression that would represent the perimeter. You're going to find the expression or the equation of those four choices that is not equal to the perimeter. Okay, looking at number four, okay, you will need to write an equation to figure out this situation to answer those four questions or four statements as to true or false. Once again, number five is all about writing an equation to represent the cost of those t-shirts. And then number six, it's talking perimeter around the yard. And the length of the yard, you'll need to write an expression. They need 106 feet of fencing. So again, that's a perimeter type question. Use that to help you out. So folks, hopefully this stuff helped you out a little bit. Again, page 167, page 168 due for homework tomorrow. Hopefully you had a good day. Get your work done, and I will see you tomorrow, because at this time I'm probably driving home from Washington, D.C., somewhere out in the middle of Maryland or Pennsylvania. So have a good day. See you soon. Bye-bye.